Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So I want to take this opportunity to respond to a very intriguing question that came in the comments to a recent class. That class was about the need for one to be, quote, down to earth. I think the title was, does a priest need to be married? Well, the question that came in from Adam, he says, Rabbi, doesn't it say in the Torah, in the story of Noah, that, my spirit will not strive with man forever, as he's indeed flesh, yet his years will be 120 years. In other words, he says, doesn't it show to be earthly rather than spiritual that leads to corruption and death? Well, that's true. Ultimately, the matter is what leads to death, because it's the matter, it's the material part that dies. The spiritual part does not die. Let me just use, just from a common life example, just an example of something that we encounter on a daily basis. You see a vehicle moving down the street. That vehicle takes up space. That vehicle took up a lot of planning and a lot of interaction that's going on in the vehicle. The motor that's working, the transmission that's responding, the wheels that are turning. There's so much going on there. It's almost like a whole life in itself. But everybody understands that what's really important is not the vehicle itself, but the human being that's traveling in the vehicle. In fact, the whole vehicle is there to serve the human being. The whole vehicle is there to serve the purposes that the human intends it to serve for him and needs it to serve for him. It needs the vehicle, but the human and the vehicle are obviously non-comparable. I want to use that as an example for the body and the soul, for the spirit and the matter. Yes, it's true. We need the matter. And that was the point of that class. What God is saying is, you can't fly through thin air, so to speak, using this metaphor. You need the vehicle. Not only you need it and use it reluctantly, but you need it and enjoy it. None of us like to, ride in a horse and buggy or in a car that doesn't have proper suspension and shock absorbers. It's just highly uncomfortable. Of course, if we're already riding in the vehicle, we make sure that the vehicle is safe, it's operating in its, best possible manner, and that it is comfortable and convenient. And that makes sense, because we have to get to our destination. We have to get to our destination because we have a purpose to fulfill, whatever the purpose may be, whether it's work, whether it's shopping, whether it's leisure, whether it's to see family, whatever it is. And we want to get there not only whole and in one piece, but also comfortable and with peace of mind. So we don't want to go bumping around in every hole and feeling every pothole that is. And we don't want to go, God forbid, and get hurt along the way. Likewise, the soul, the way God designed life is the soul needs the body. The soul requires the body. The soul rides, so to speak, on the body, with the body. With it serves God. And the body has bodily needs. The body lives in this physical world, not by itself. It didn't make up its own mind to do so, but rather God designed it so. And that is really the purpose of the whole thing. The idea is that the soul utilizes the body and the bodily things and the worldly things that connect to the body in order to serve God. But through this, unlike the car, where just in a general sense, you give the car a purpose. Imagine you buy a beautiful car and it just sits there and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't serve any purpose. You have a car, it's sitting there in your garage, and in the meantime, you walk to every destination because you don't want to waste the car or because you don't want to abuse the car. Obviously, that makes no sense. That's nonsensical. That's idiotic. Why did you buy a car? You bought a car to serve you, to serve a purpose, to help you get to where you need to get comfortably and, of course, safely. Likewise, we need to use the body. But in the body and soul connection, it's even more. Through the soul, utilizing the functions of the body and the bodily things and the worldly things that connect to it. In order to get closer to God, in order to serve God, we're actually elevating the body. We're now giving it a purpose, not just a general purpose, but specific purpose. It actually elevates the body. When God speaks in Noah, when God speaks about man being corrupt because of the body, we're talking about when people do the reverse, when they focus all their attention on the body itself. They, so to speak, worship the car, not the person in the car. They worship the vehicle for the sake of the vehicle itself, not for what it can do for the human being. Then, if obviously not only is purposeless, but actually you're bringing it down, you're pulling it down in the wrong direction. That's when it becomes dangerous. So in short, to indulge in the material just for the sake of indulgement, to just live for the sake of pleasure, worldly pleasures, that is absolutely fatal. That can kill. That kills not only the soul, but it could even kill the body. People who are overindulgent tend to have very poor health, physically speaking, and not only physical health, but mental health, psychological health, and all that's a big killer. But when you have a meaning and a purpose in the connection between body and soul, you're using the body, enjoying life, but enjoying life with a purpose in mind, so you can be relaxed, so you can focus on what's more important, not be distracted by the ills and the pains of the physical needs of the body that are not being met, but rather by having a comfortable life, you're now able to focus on, to study about God, to focus on others, to tend to doing good and holy endeavors. That makes everything purposeful. That is the point of what we're saying. So, for example, for a holy person to be married and have children, have a family, this is actually a positive, a purposeful thing. And that's what that class was about. This was saying the person is not going to remove themselves from the world, but rather serve their purpose in the world, through the world, and with the worldly things, with their family, with their wife, with their children, have a purposeful and meaningful life, and all together get higher and holier and closer to God.